one game away. Blowout. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. This gotta mean something to you. It gotta mean something. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2-3. 1, 2, 3. Finish.
I can't even think about all of the shit I did to fit in. Past hard to watch like a fucking scary movie. I'm always happy to meet somebody that never knew me. Change for the better, hope niggas are living through me. I put it all on the wax so the people can know the true me. Hard to remain sane when the people you love the most is what's causing the damn pain. Y'all beef by the same thing, we ain't playing the same game. It's all for my family. She the girl of your fucking dreams, but to me she a plain Jane. You dipper and ball man, I duck when them calls came. This that higher level thinking. I'm the type to jump the fuck off for the shit before it's sinking. Not here for no new shit, my game slider boosted. Ain't I don't have to prove shit, Rockstar fight the fool shit. My movie, this the new script. I want a life with no bullshit, nigga. I know on these news clips, that's why I dap him and move quick. Won't be around when they move switch, won't be around when they lose clips, won't be around for they lose lips. Might be the reason they pull shit. Yeah.
Yesterday's price is not today's price, Ravens. What you thought you were going to have to pay him, you're going to have to pay him more.
Week 13 Sunday, NFL Sunday, is in the books. It's one for the birds. It's over. Finito. We got one more Week 13 game on Monday night, but Sunday is come and gone. Imagine waking up, seeing your team lose on Sunday afternoon. I can say that because my team didn't lose this. But even though we suffered something that's worse than a loss, because anytime Lamar Jackson go down, it's tougher than an L. Not to mention, you got to watch these motherfuckers play for a long period of time without them. That's hell in itself. But we'll get to that. How's everybody doing? I'm curious to how everybody's day's going, but we'll get into that in a few. NFL Week Sunday, I learned a couple things. After this Sunday. I really did. And we're going to get to the scores in a second. But the first thing I want to talk about that I learned, just because I don't want to forget this point. Bro, I don't know if I know Joe Burrow is a good quarterback. I know Joe Burrow's a good player. I don't really know how great of a player he is, though. Because what I'm starting to realize is, and I already realized this, but I just was talking about it specifically pertaining to them 3 receivers that they got over there. Bro, the Bengals got a lot of talented players on this team. Defense and offense. We spend so much time talking about how trash that offensive line is, even though they haven't really been trash the last couple weeks. It's a lot of talent everywhere else on this team. And I think that's one, and I think I realized it was a lot of talent on this team, but I think that's one of the things that be pissing me off when I see so many people give Joe Burrow and these, just Joe Burrow, excuses for when they lose and when they don't look good. I realize because I watch these motherfuckers so much, because they is in my division, so it ain't even natural because I do not watch the Steelers all the time. But why would I be sitting around watching the Steelers? I already got to watch the Ravens struggle to score this year. Why would I sit around and watch another offensively challenged team that's not my team? Makes no sense. But every time I watch these Bengals, for one, the defense carried this team more than people realize. I'm not saying that this team is only great because of the defense, but this defense haven't given up a 300-yard passing game in a minute, all year, and going back to last year, I believe. They done handled Pat Mahomes. I think this was Pat Mahomes' best game against them, and he still lost. They got 3 wins over Pat Mahomes in the 3 times they done faced him. Pat Mahomes has not beaten a Joe Burrow-led Cincinnati Bengals. This team played great football. Pat Mahomes got to earn every single yard when he play against this Bengals defense. I do think to an extent it kind of hurt that this. I don't think that I'll get into that in a minute. But I just think Cincinnati got a lot of talent. And I think when you trash like this team was over the last couple years before they got Joe Burrow, one of the important things when you suck the way they sucked is to make big time. You got to hit on a lot of picks. You know what I'm saying? and you might not see how all the picks fall together until you get the quarterback. So I know Joe Burrow is great. I know he a great quarterback because he done made all this go together. But I also know, bro, it's a lot of talent on this Cincinnati Bengals team. Like, you can make an argument they got 3 number 1 receivers on this team. Listen, T. Higgins is a number 2. On another team, he would be a number 1. Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase are both number 1 receivers. That's why I always say Tyler Boyd, a number 1 receiver, walking around, masquerading around as a number 2. Like, if you watch the Bengals, Tyler Boyd is a number 1 receiver. T. Higgins is a number 1 receiver, in my opinion. He ain't a number 1 receiver right now. He can be a number 1. He got number 1 receiver potential all written all over him. Dude on the broadcast even has said he a number 1. Like, if you watch the Bengals, they got 3 number 1 receivers, with one of the number 1 receivers being a number 2 by default. Like, it's a lot of talent. And I understand they don't have, like, a top-end tight end. But every tight end that play for them is going to get better by default because he playing with 3 top-tier talented receivers. Then you got Samaje Perine, who nobody ever talk about, who is just as good as catching the ball out of the backfield and shit like that as Joe Mixon, the starting running back. Like, I know Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. I just don't know how great he is because it is a lot of talent on this Cincinnati Bengals team. And Jamar Chase came back. Like, it's a lot of talent on this Cincinnati. But here's the problem. I don't think Cincinnati, well, let me put it like this. The Chiefs' defense will never be a good matchup for Cincinnati if this is the structure of their defense. They don't have the players in mind. As great as Chris Jones is, unless the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line just pick that day to have like a god-awful game and just let Chris Jones and Frank Clark come through left and right, I don't think the Chiefs defense is good enough to be like Pat Mahomes, especially when you make Pat Mahomes have to have his best receiver, his best receiving threat is Kelce. I understand the greatness of Travis Kelce. Trust me, I do. And Travis Kelce's fumble late in that game probably cost him this game because they was up 24-20 en route to score again, and Travis Kelce fumbled the ball, and that just, the Bengals scored after that. But when you don't have a number 1 receiver that can dictate what your defense does, I just think it changes things because Cincinnati not scared of playing legit defense or manning up on dudes. They got Joe Burrow on their sideline. Like, they play a completely different way if they didn't have Joe Burrow on their sideline. It's the same reason why the Chiefs have been satisfied with a defense that's not really as great as it should be or could be because they got Pat Mahomes on their sideline. It's the same reason the Baltimore Ravens refuse to go out and get Lamar Jackson any real help because they got Lamar Jackson on their sideline. It's the same reason Buffalo refused to go get a legitimate running back because they got Josh Allen on their sideline. When you have great talent, you will purposely lack in other areas or not tend to certain other areas because you have a franchise quarterback. I know Joe Burrow is a franchise quarterback. I don't know if he's a generational talent, though, but he could change my mind. And it's just, I don't know if he's going to change it with this talent he got around him. Because I understand a lot of people in the media not going to say nothing about it. And I'm the dude who say I want to see dudes with talent because I want to see greatness have talent around them. I don't know how great Joe Burrow, like, I'm looking at Joe Burrow with these receivers he got, right? I still don't see what I saw from Pat Mahomes. Like, when I watch Pat Mahomes through these years, I can see the greatness in Pat Mahomes. I know that's and I think Joe Burrow is a generation. I don't know if it's generational. I know he is special talent. He could change my mind into generational. But let me put it like this. If Joe Burrow was working with what the supporting cast Lamar Jackson or Pat Mahomes had right now, I don't know if Joe Burrow would be putting up the stats he put up. I don't know if they had a wins attached to it. I think it's a different type of game when you can play with the type of talent that Joe Burrow play with. Literally, the acquisition of talent that the Bengals were able to acquire before they got Joe Burrow and to be able to keep acquiring it when they have him on a rookie contract, I think you're going to see more of what Joe Burrow, like, it's very rare a quarterback come into the league with this type of talent around them. It just is what it is. Like, it's not a lot of times that a quarterback is going to have this type of talent just littered throughout the team. I mean, they got talent on the defensive side of the ball, and they got every position packed, really filled, as far as like his offensive skill positions. Down the line, when he get his big contract, I don't know if you had that type of talent around him at all times. You might have Jamar Chase there still, but you're not having no T. Higgins, Boyd, P. Ryan, who is underpaid, Mixon. Like, all these dudes not going to be on the same team unless you have an owner that just want to pay that. But the Cincinnati Bengals owner notoriously has been cheap. So it's no way he paying that many players after he pay his quarterback. I can't see that happening. However, with that being said, I do think Joe Burrow is a talented player. Because, like, you can have all this talent. It wouldn't make a difference if you didn't have a great quarterback. So, obviously, Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. But I understand people going to start overrating Joe Burrow. I think that's what it is for me. As great as I think Joe Burrow is, I think he going to start he in a perfect situation to get a whole bunch of accolades right now. Because it's not, the offense don't have to be hard for them unless it's a defense on the other side of the ball having a perfect type game. Because it is so much talent on that Cincinnati Bengals offense. And it's not me taking a shot at Cincinnati or, making excuses for the teams that they beat. I'm just saying it's going to be tough beating a team like Cincinnati who has a good quarter. Because I still don't think the head coach is nothing special. I just think when they defense playing as great as they are, haven't given up a touchdown in the second half until I think this game. And I can't even remember, did they even give up a touchdown in the second? Yeah, they did. When you have a defense playing like this, they can keep you in any game. And the offense with this type of talent, they are going to score. Like, I look at Cincinnati games, and I expect them to score at some point in time when they losing. Like, I don't care that they losing. They got too much talent to be held down for an entire game. So when they do lose games because they can't score offensively, it's shocking to me. Because I'm like, damn, this team got Higgins, Boyd, Jamar. Like, it's a lot of talent. Mixon, P. Ryan. Like, that's why they didn't give a damn when CJ, however you pronounce Ujama, when he went to the Jets. Because they like, this is a tight end who looked way better than he actually was because he playing around a shit ton of talent. Of course he gonna get looks. It's like I said about the Eagles offense. The Eagles offense, and you know what's crazy? That is a realistic Super Bowl. Cincinnati and the Eagles. Now, if Joe Burrow gets to another Super Bowl, I know it's gonna be hard. I'm gonna give him. I'm giving him his credit. It's just, I don't think Pat Mahomes had this type of talent around him when he got to the Super Bowl them 2 times. I just don't. This is a lot of talent that the Bengals got on that offensive side of the ball, bro. And the crazy thing is, I just don't believe that if Pat Mahomes had this offense that Joe Burrow had, for one, I think he'd be undefeated right now. 2, I think he would have won the Super Bowl with the team Joe Burrow had last year. To me, when I watch Joe Burrow, as great as he is, what he do the best is throw jump balls up to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins down the field. Like, I don't think he really do nothing that's that special, but I know he a great quarterback. But you don't have to be a great quarterback because you do all these things so much better than everybody else. I just think he consistently is good, is great. He give his team a chance to win every time he out there. He don't have to overcome any type of odds because his offense is legitimately, like, you know what the Bengals are? The Bengals offense is what the Vikings offense should be, but Kirk Cousins ain't Joe Burrow. That's the difference. I know Joe Burrow is great because he's not wasting the talent around him. That's how I know Kirk Cousins got a ceiling, because he got a damn near the same type of talent around. Now, obviously, Thielen is a little bit older and whatnot, but Kirk Cousins done had offenses that had just as much talent on them, and he haven't got to a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow done got this team to a Super Bowl, meaning he didn't waste the talent. So shout out to him for that, but it's a lot of talent on this team. But anyways, let's get into the scores for Week 13. Green Bay went to Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears, and they get a comeback win, 28-19. Tennessee went to Philly to take on the Philadelphia Eagles, In a matchup, A.J. Brown against his former team, they win 10-35. A.J. Brown had 3 touchdowns. They called 1 back, so he ended up having 2. We're going to talk about the Eagles, bro, because I really don't understand the people who still hating on the Eagles. I really don't. But Washington, New York Giants, a 20-20 draw. Bro, I really hate draws. I understand that you don't need to play 2 quarters, and I'm not even advocating for 2 quarters. I'm advocating for somebody to make a fucking play and win the game, because I do not like draws. I do not think the rules should change. But yeah, very fucking irritating seeing teams go to draws. Jacksonville went to Detroit and lost 14-40. I'm not shocked that they got their ass kicked, but we'll talk about it. Denver went to Baltimore and they lost 9-10. Once again, Denver's team. Baltimore had 3 points until like the last couple minutes of this game. And Denver, no Lamar Jackson for the majority of this game. Russell Wilson is apparently not better than Tyler Huntley. So, you got that. Pittsburgh went to Atlanta and won 19-16. The Jets went to Minnesota and lost 22-27. And they had chances to win this game. The end of this game, the Jets had the ball in the red zone. Could not score on 4 downs. They turned the ball over. The Jets defense get the ball back. They stopped the Vikings with 13 seconds taken off the clock. Just 13 seconds to get the 3 and out. And they come up short once again. It was just, I'm not shocked because I told y'all I'm not a believer in Mike White. He just obviously better than Zach Wilson. But Mike White made some great, like even on the drive before they got stopped the first time, he made great throws on both of those drives. I don't know how they was not able to finish neither of those 2 drives off. But it's like I said, the Jets defense is unreal. That is, to me, the Jets defense is a Super Bowl caliber defense. I don't like saying that, but that's a defense that could get you that could help you play a massive part in winning the Super Bowl, because they did exactly what I thought they was gonna do. They didn't get the turnovers that I thought they'd get, but they definitely stifled. They held Justin Jefferson to 40-something yards. Like this, the Jets defense is unreal. Like, that is a great defense. The linebackers, the pass rushers. I even think they could get better pass rushers. If you want to speak on something that the defense could do better, I think the pass rush could get even better. Because right now, to me, they defense kind of look like the Ravens defense from a couple years ago, where it's built from the linebackers in the secondary, but you don't really have legitimate all-out. Well, the Ravens even had pass rushers at the time, so. Yeah, the Jets defense, to me, if they had some bona fide pass rushers on the team, and they got good pass rushers, I just think they could get even better. The Jets defense is just such a great defense. But they had opportunities to win this game, and they couldn't come through. But to me, man, I'm telling you, man, the Jets defense is such a great. And you know how people always be like, yo, if the NFL or the NBA is better when this team is good. Yeah, most of the time when people say that shit, I don't believe it, because like when people say that the NBA is better when the Knicks good, my boy, the Knicks sucked my whole life and I've been enjoying the NBA just fine. So that's a stupid statement. When the Jets are good, I actually think the NFL is better. I like it when the Jets are a good team. That's why I hope they find a quarterback. The problem is what I said a couple weeks ago. They are not good enough to win a Super Bowl because of their offense. They are also not bad enough to get a good quarterback in a draft because of the defense. So you are at a point where the Jets going to have to find a way to make a trade. If the Jets are really a good team, and I think the Jets are a good team, I just realized today, I like the receivers on the team. Wilson, Corey Davis. It is a lot of talent on this Jets team when the running back get healthy next year. The Jets got a decent offensive line that can clearly get better. The Jets are a great team. If they get a quarterback, and Mike White is not the quarterback in my opinion. I know people going to be fooled thinking he is for a little minute. I do not believe Mike White is the quarterback. Only a white dude can play bad last year, come back this year on a refresher, and then people forget that and just, take it from there. Like, it's crazy. The disrespect that they show some quarterbacks I'm not going to get into that. But I don't think Mike White is the answer. I think the Jets is going to have to package up some picks and a player in order to bring over a quarterback. I think they should try to get into the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. I know Aaron Rodgers is not getting traded, but if there was any chance that he was going to be traded, I would make a trade for him. I would not trade for a young quarterback that's unproven if I'm the Jets. I have a good enough team to where I don't need to take chances on if this dude can or cannot. I need to know that I'm going to get. The Jets need to try to be in on Lamar Jackson. That's exactly one of the teams that should be trying to compete to get Lamar Jackson. They are not in a situation where they need to try to go get a Russell Wilson and hope that he's still got anything left in the tank. They're not in a situation where they need to be trying to go get a young quarterback who you're not sure is good or not. You just hoping. You need to go get a proven quarterback. You're not getting one of them unless you make a big time trade for one. I think Lamar Jackson, after today getting hurt, I don't think Lamar Jackson going to be a Raven the entirety of his career. See, the way I look at this Lamar Jackson injury might be different than other people. You see, when I see Lamar Jackson get hurt today on another sack, I say to myself, could you imagine all the things that happened up to this point that didn't have to happen that could have made this situation null and void? Like this wouldn't even be a situation. If he had the talent around him, do you know how much and I understand sacks and injuries happen. I get that. But the way I look at it is, this is a dude who is asked on a weekly basis to put a team on his back and carry him. There is multiple times throughout the season, if Lamar Jackson had help, adequate help, it would have taken a load off of him. Do you know how many carries he had this year that he would not have had to have if he actually had reliable help, good help? Do you know how many times he wouldn't have had to carry or take a sack this year if he had proper receivers that could actually get open? Do you know how many times he could have had a positive play happen and didn't have to have a negative play to, if he had a receiver that caught the pass? Like, it's so many things that happen to the Ravens right now, and I put it on the Ravens. I blame Eric DeCosta, Bisciotti, Ozzie. This the team they constructed. They continuously leave Lamar Jackson out there dry. It's no fucking way in hell Lamar Jackson is a long-term Baltimore Raven. If he does not hold out in the offseason, I will be absolutely stunned, because there's no way I'm playing for a team when I'm so very clearly the only reason this is a good team or a contending team every fucking year. Because nobody in their right mind would think if you took Lamar Jackson off this roster, you do not look at this team and say, yeah, that's a Super Bowl contending team. This is a god-awful offense. This is one of the worst. I told you I realized some things today. Baltimore probably got easily a bottom 5 offensive core all around when you take Lamar Jackson out. It's just a pathetic team, to be completely honest with you, with a pathetic management. And what they is doing to Lamar, to me, is exactly the reasons why the Jets should be trying to go all out to trade for Lamar Jackson. And it's going to take Lamar Jackson pushing that trade. Obviously, the Baltimore Ravens are not going to want to trade the franchise quarterback, a ultra talent, a generational talent like Lamar Jackson. They would rather continue to waste his prime and his career with what they're doing right now. Being cheap, not going out and getting him help. Because the Baltimore can afford the help they could go get him. They choose not to. The Jets is a team that I believe will go out and actually, and I don't even want him to go to the Jets, because I don't want him playing under Robert Saleh, because that's not an offensive-minded coach. That's another coach who's not going to get the most out of Lamar Jackson. He is going to be, if anything, they're going to have to hire an offensive coordinator to help Lamar Jackson. I would prefer to see Lamar Jackson with a team with an actual offensive-minded head coach. Like, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, it's a possibility that the Raiders could try to go for him, but I don't want to see him with Josh McDaniels either. But at this point, I just don't give a damn. I just want to see him with a receiver. A number one receiver, bro. Either way, though, the Jets had opportunities to win that game, and they just fell short. They lose 22-27 in Minnesota. Cleveland went to Houston. The Deshaun Watson return. Cleveland win 27-14. The Cleveland defense had 2 scores in this game. Deshaun Watson. So Cleveland, not Cleveland. The Texans is an atrocious team. The worst team in the NFL, like I thought they would be. And they are fucking unwatchable. And they are definitely trying to get that number 1 pick in the draft. Cleveland actually could have won this game with as bad as Deshaun Watson played. I knew Deshaun Watson was going to look rusty and whatnot. I did not think he was going to look rusty and bad. He looked rusty and bad. That was a fear of mine, and I hope that I'm wrong. It feel like it's times where if you don't play something for so long because at the level of an NFL, dudes is getting better every day. So when you don't play consistently, and it's not to me the same as being hurt. It'd be completely different if you hurt like for full seasons every year. For somebody who just not playing, I understand you can work out and all that, but it get to a point where if you a great player, then you think you can take that type of time. But I can't remember a great player taking 2 years off basically and coming back and playing at the highest level being great. I expected him to look rusty. Did not expect him to look as bad. Like, this was the worst performance I think that a quarterback done had against the Texans, a team that's been basically giving up good games to quarterbacks every time they play one. Deshaun Watson was probably the worst game a quarterback done had against the Texans. But I'm going to just hold off because Deshaun Watson was a great quarterback before he chose to take a 2-year sabbatical. Well, 1 year sabbatical, and then was forced to take that second year basically. But we'll see. But Cleveland did end up winning this game. Seattle went to L.A. to take on the Rams, a team. But first off, Seattle won this game 27-23. Shout out to Geno. Seattle almost lost this fucking game. The Rams had Matthew Stafford hurt, so they started Warford. I think Matthew Stafford, they said he got like a spinal contusion or something like that. So who even knows if he's going to be playing again the rest of his career if this is a serious injury. Here's the thing about excuse me. Here's the thing about Matthew Stafford. The Rams. This was the best they done looked damn near all season on offense. Not only that. So, I told you how bad Russell Wilson was against the Rams. Well, okay, they turned that into a Seattle stat. Even though Russell Wilson is specifically bad against the Rams. Go look at his stats. I don't like stats, but I watch these games, so I know the stats is going to reflect what my eyes was watching. However, I understand they turned this into a Seattle stat. Then they turned it into a Pete Carroll stat. And he done got his ass mollywopped against his team down there every time he played against him. They done lost like the last 9 out of 10 times they done played the Rams, which is not shocking. I told you. I see these games all the time. I know how bad the Seattle Seahawks are against the Rams. Did not think this would be a close game. Coincidentally, it was, which just continues to prove to me. I don't know what it is about Sean McVay. He is so good. He just know how to outcoach Pete Carroll. Like, he is just very familiar with something that Pete Carroll teams do, and he just know how to outcoach. Because he should have won this game today. And if he had any type of talent littered throughout this team he currently coaching, they probably do win this game. That's the real. It's wild when somebody really do have like a hold over a team or something. Like Aaron Rodgers really is the owner of Chicago, even though those running backs and Christian Watson with a big plays at the end of the game played a lot. Like, I think Aaron Rodgers didn't even throw for he barely threw for 200 yards if he even threw for that in that game. But regardless, the Rams did end up losing, but they probably should have won. And it's just shocking that this game was this close with a Seattle team that is so great scoring the ball. But it's just another reminder. Some teams definitely, and coaches and players definitely got they just know something or feel something when they play against certain people, bro. It's crazy. Miami went to San Francisco to take on the San Francisco 49ers, and they lose 17-33. Tua had 2 interceptions in this game. Jimmy Garoppolo broke his foot in this game when he was getting sacked. He was trying to escape a sack, and he ended up breaking his foot. Kyle Shanahan must have knew this motherfucker broke his foot like in the second or third quarter. Imagine knowing that your quarterback broke his fucking foot before the game is over. That's insane. I completely have different type of opinions on San Francisco now. I do not believe in the dude that they had playing. I can't even remember his name. He was the last pick in the draft, though. I know they kept calling him Mr. Irrelevant because that's what they called the last pick in the draft. He got a wild name, too. I just can't remember it at the moment. It started with a P, but I got no faith in him or any of them backups to be playing for Cal. The NFC just opened up even more. But I don't even think the NFC wide open. I'm revising my pick. Brady could still definitely get to the Super Bowl because he is Brady, and that's going to be my second pick. The Eagles not getting to the Super Bowl not going to make no sense to me. As a matter of fact, I think the Eagles and the Cowboys probably is the two favorites to make it out of the NFC right now. I love the Cowboys, and they did blast the Indy tonight. But to me, the Cowboys offense is not better than the Eagles offense. And as good as the Cowboys defense is, the Eagles defense is not bad. Like, people make it seem as though the Eagles defense is garbage. That's just not the case. So it'd be a completely different story if the Eagles was just surviving on offense. The Eagles have a great defense also. Like I said, they just beat a team 10-35. Not to mention they beat a good team 10-35. The Eagles, everybody want to go crazy about one loss they have on the bro. The Eagles offense is legit. The Eagles defense, I literally look at the Eagles every week, and more, I just continue to ask myself, what is it about this team people don't believe in? Like, what is it about Jalen Hurts people don't believe in? I understand y'all want him to be bad again. Y'all want him to not be able to continuously have these good games throwing the ball. But he got talent around him. What y'all saw him do without talent was what he had to do because he did not have the talent around him. He got the talent around him now, so now you're seeing Jalen Hurts with the talent around him. He is a good quarterback. He was good last year, but now he's taking it to an even higher level because he got the proper help around him to help accentuate his growth. I don't understand why y'all continue to hope he fail or thinking he gonna fail or something. But y'all about to be real pissed because this Eagle team gonna be good for a minute. Like, Jalen Hurts gonna get locked up. Excuse me. They're gonna lock Jalen Hurts up. I don't think they're gonna let Devontae Smith could be an interesting one because both he and A.J. Brown had over 100 yards in this game. I think Devontae Smith gonna get paid like a number one receiver, even though I think he a number two receiver. You already done paid A.J. Brown. Dallas Goedert, I think, already done got paid. The running back position interesting because I don't think you ever gonna commit big money to that position again as any team, especially teams that's got quarterbacks and receivers. The defense, I'm just saying the Eagles, to me, if y'all think the Eagles just gonna suddenly turn into a bad team again, I think y'all sadly mistaken. I think this is my new favorite in the NFC to get to the Super Bowl. They just continue to impress me on a weekly basis. They pull out the close, tough wins that they gotta. When they not playing their best, they still find ways to win. When they playing their best, they absolutely mollywop teams and make it look easy. To me, the Eagles look like a Super Bowl contending team. San Francisco, as much as I like their defense, Nick Bosa had 3 sacks on the day. As good as the team looked defensively, and this is a great defense, I just have no faith in that offense without Jimmy G. And I had limited faith in the offense with Jimmy G. But I have no faith. And I don't think, as good as the defense is with the San Fran, I done seen good quarterbacks and good offenses go up there and light their ass up. As I understand what they did to Tua. Tua is not better than Jalen Hurts to me. The talent that he has is just as good as the talent that Jalen Hurts has. But he is not better than Jalen. To me, the offensive game plan is great. I like the Eagles. The Eagles, to me, got probably the best offense in the NFL right now. Or one of the top offense. And I understand how great but it's Tua cannot do to me. His arm is not better than Jalen Hurts' arm. Put it like that. I like Jalen Hurts throwing better. All that. And I like A.J. Brown. Not just as much as I like Tua. Not just as much as I like Tyreek. But A.J. Brown in this system just makes sense, bro. Plus, Waddle and Tyreek is both short receivers. Even though I think Tyreek is a number one, A.J. Brown is a tall receiver who play opposite of a Devontae Smith who can play inside, outside. And you got Jalen Hurts, who is a legitimate, he can actually run with the ball. Tua can run here and there. He ain't Jalen Hurts with it. I mean, come on. Jalen Hurts had over 100 yards in the first quarter last week against the Packers rushing. And today they just showed you, shit, we ain't even got to run the ball if we don't want to. We could just throw it on you. And I love that they got Devontae. I love that they made an effort to get A.J. Brown his shit, let him get his shit off against his former team. I love that. The Eagles going to the Super Bowl, bro. The Eagles going to the Super Bowl. KC headed to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals and lost again. We talked about it to start off the show, but they lost 24-27 to Cincinnati in Cincinnati. And like we had that long conversation about Cincinnati, like I was saying, as good as Pat Mahomes is, he's going to have basically perfect games against a team like the Bengals because they just have too much talent for his defense to compete with. It's defenses out there that can minimize some of the things that Joe Burrow and that offense can do because they have a lot of talent on their defense. The Chiefs ain't one of them teams. It's almost starting to feel like the Chiefs hardest game in the playoffs every year will be Cincinnati, just naturally. Now, the hardest game will always be when you take on a top-tier quarterback like a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen, because they can cause a problem for your team if they are playing out of their minds. Cincinnati don't even have to play out of their minds, and they're going to have a problem. It's going to be tough for this form of the Chiefs to win, because the Chiefs not only going to have to be perfect on offense, but they have more of a resistance on offense because of a defense in Cincinnati that's great. Cincinnati is not scared of that defense and don't really have to think too hard about that Chiefs defense, because the Chiefs defense is nowhere near as good as Cincinnati's defense. And Cincinnati know that. Not only do they know that their defense is way better than the defense that the Chiefs put on the field, they know that if their defense play good, just play average, that they'll give Joe Burrow a shot to win. And they understand we don't have to go out there and take chances because we have Joe Burrow. A team that didn't have a Joe Burrow would not be able to play the same. They do. So they can play the Chiefs completely different than some other teams might have to play the Chiefs. They have a confidence. They definitely have a bit more of a confidence against the Chiefs than any other team because they beat the Chiefs 3 times. So I expect ESPN and all these other shows to tell you that Joe Burrow is the best young quarterback in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes. Some people are going to tell you he better than Pat Mahomes. But listen, what I'm telling you right now, name another. As great as I think Joe Burrow is, man, I don't know if he getting some of these wins against some of these teams if he didn't have that type of talent around him. That is a lot of fucking talent. And the Chargers lose to Vegas. They head to Las Vegas to lose to Vegas 20-27. Derek Carr had a good game. But Josh Jacobs had a great game. But Devontae fucking Adams, I continue to say, is the best receiver in football. And I just have to admit that because every fucking time I watch this man play, I think to myself, man, that's the best that's the best receiver in football. Like that's probably the best receiver in football. Dude's unreal. He's inevitable. I don't know another, man, this dude. Could you imagine, why do the lesser thans always get these type of talents? Why can Lamar Jackson not get this type of talent around him, bruh? Like, man. And you want to know what's crazy about Josh Jacobs' great year? I don't even know if it'll turn into some crazy type of payday, because I don't think he'll have this same year next year. I hope the Raiders find a way to keep him, because I do think he fit the Raiders very well, but who knows what happens. But Devontae Adams is worth every fucking cent, every penny, every dollar, every single million. Devontae Adams, I meant, not Devontae Smith. Devontae Adams is the best receiver in football to me. Dude is unfucking real. What he go out there and do on a weekly basis, bruh, that's why I was saying, when people was talking about, oh, he throw it to Devontae too much, bro, shut the fuck up. Devontae Adams is the best receiver in football. There's no such thing as throwing him the ball too much. Unless you hurting your offense by specifically only throwing it to him when it's other dudes wide open. Now, if he open and another dude open, that ball better go to Devontae. But if Devontae got 3 dudes on him and it's another dude wide the fuck open and you still choose to throw it to Devontae, that's when you become, oh, he throwing it to Devontae too much. Not when 2 dudes open, Devontae and another dude, and he throw it to Devontae. Nah, that's just called smart business decisions. I do not think the Raiders are going to make the playoffs. I like how they've been playing the last couple of weeks. Don't Max Crosby. Bro, Chandler Jones had 3 sacks in this game, bro. Man came into this game with half a sack on the season. You forgot he was on the fucking team. The Raiders starting to turn it around. I don't think Josh McDaniels' job was ever at risk. I don't never think they was going to fire him. They definitely ain't firing his ass now. But, yeah, I just think Devontae Adams is just the ultimate equalizer, bro. This motherfucker is just different. And the last game of Sunday was Indy. They went to Dallas to take on the Colts, and they got blasted 19-54. Dallas been putting up a lot of points on teams recently. Dallas has averaged 30-something points on offense since Dak got back. But Dallas put up like 30-something points in the fourth quarter of this game. I think 33. Zeke and Tony Pollard had great games. I'm so happy to see Zeke balling out again, bro. I'm just so happy to see Zeke balling out. But this was a dominant win for the Cowboys. The defense, my goodness. I think what's this motherfucker's name? Matt Ryan had like 3 interceptions. He was sacked a couple times. Offensive line for the Colts is just god awful. They was just letting dudes run through unblocked. It was all bad for the Colts. But with that, I appreciate y'all for joining me. Week 13 Sunday recap part 1. Obviously, we will do other parts throughout the week, more than likely talking about breaking down some other games. But it's 7:19 in the morning. I am finally ready to go to bed. I done ate like 4 times in the last 5 hours because I done been so hungry for some reason tonight. But with that, I appreciate y'all for joining me, man. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. Like, subscribe, share. Saint out.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, she know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy. Scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber. You out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.